Good show, Tyler.
Live from New York. It's a show that is 100% positive that I'm the fastest member of the show and faster than Kevin Hart.
Oh, now you're going to get us in a beef with Kevin Hart.
It's not a beef.
We don't want that. Yes, some guy your age saying he's faster than you.
First of all, it would be good for the show if that happened. Second of all, I don't think it's going to hit his radar.
Oh, my
Today,
goodness.
Were you impressed with the Celtics sweep?
No. And here's the thing. If they win the title, none of it matters. There will be no asterisks. There will be no yeah, but. And history will not remember at all the path to the finals. They simply won't. But do the Celtics have anything to apologize for? No. Do you play who's in front of you? Absolutely. Did they earn the 1 seed, which should be the simplest path to a champion, or at least to the finals? They did. Have they checked all the boxes from what's their record? What's their point differential? They've done all of that. And they have earned credit for that. But have I been impressed by the Celtics at any moment this postseason? No. Was I impressed by the Celtics at any moment in the Eastern Conference Finals? No. Do I think they deserve a ton of credit for beating the Pacers in Game 1 when I attribute that not to great defensive plays by Boston, but to the Pacers self-immolating in the final 30 seconds? No. Do I think in Game 3, when the Pacers just seemed so frenetic down the stretch of that game, like they were trailing by 8 rather than up by 5 with a minute left. Do I think that was the Boston doing it to them? No. And do I think yesterday the Pacers going scoreless, the final 3:30 of the game was part Boston's doing and part the Pacers without Halliburton, just didn't have anybody who could calm things down? No. So I am not trying to denigrate what they have accomplished. But I am being honest that I think there are 8 teams in the league that if they had played Miami without Jimmy Butler, Cleveland for the second half without Donovan Mitchell, and then this Pacers team for the last 2 games without Tyrese Halliburton, that would have won those 3 series and have a record around 12-2. Yeah, I do. So no, I wasn't impressed. I give them their respect, but that's where I fall, bro.
Well, let me start with this. In the playoffs, it's win in advance.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you look like. I've said it before. I'll say it again. The last time the Celtics won a championship, Atlanta, which wasn't a good team, took them 7 in round 1. Then they went 7 in round 2. Then they went 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals and won the championship in 6. That, of course, was Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett, and Paul Pierce. So that's all it's about. All right, and like you said, if they win it all, none of that stuff will matter. But I am with Nick. Like, it's not that impressive, all right? Yeah, sure, they swept Indiana. That's what you should do. Won the other series in 5. But like Nick said, Game 1, they should have lost, all right, period, all right? Game 3, they were down 8 with 2.5 minutes left. Okay, against an Indiana team that didn't have his best player, Tyrese Halliburton. And last night, they trailed by as many as 8 points in the 4th quarter. All right, so if you want to say give them credit for the comebacks, and they've been a good clutch team, even despite Jason Tatum's struggles in the clutch, they have been a good clutch team this season. If you want to give them credit for that, or if you want to say, well, hold up, Chris, Denver, when they kept coming back on the Lakers, or, Minnesota for their comebacks. And even in this series, Dallas coming back and beating Minnesota time and time again. The difference is all those other series I mentioned, you were facing a team that was relatively on your level. Like Denver was coming back against LeBron and AD. Okay, Minnesota was coming back against the best player in the world, Jokic, and Dallas, of course, against Minnesota. That's different than coming back against teams that really aren't that good anyway with their best player. Look at this. With their best players, Miami won 46 games.
Yes.
With their best players, Cleveland won 48. With their best players, Indiana won 47. They haven't even beaten a 50-win team, and these teams don't even have their best players. So, again, I think they do have a chance to win the championship. But to act like they've done, I've seen people say it's one of the greatest runs we've seen in recent memory in the playoffs. That's ridiculous because of the competition.
So can I go ahead, Wildes?
No, I just don't know if you were on the Celtics what you're supposed to do.
Win the next series.
Okay, but what are you supposed to do?
You weren't supposed to be challenged this much by an Indiana team.
If they blew out the Pacers every game, you're like, blowing them out. I'm not impressed by blowouts, not impressed by close games, not impressed by a comeback. It's just, impressed might not have been on the board. We shouldn't have had the question.
So here's the thing. I think it's a bit of a straw man to say not impressed by blowouts. I think people are natural. I think there is a level of, well, you did literally everything you could do in that spot, even if you didn't. Maybe blowouts don't necessarily prove. Like, did the Celtics now prove they are something else? No, they beat a lesser team. Mm-hmm. But I can be impressed by you handling a team start to finish. I thought the Celtics, for massive stretches of the conference finals, played poorly. And I think that is not impressive. Brew pointed out those teams' records on the year, 46, 48, and 47 wins. Here's those teams' records this year without Jimmy, without Donovan, without Halliburton. You add all that up, that's a winning percentage a little bit right between the Hawks and the Bulls. So I then asked, like a team like Phoenix, if they had just played 14 games against the Hawks and Bulls, would we expect them to have around this record? Would we expect them, and I just picked Phoenix because they're a team that lost in round one. I understand Celtics fans, because I have been a bit of a thorn in their side over the years, think I'm picking on them. I'm here to tell you, if Luka in round one, they beat the Clippers, and the Clippers didn't have Kawhi for half of that series. If in the next round, Oklahoma City, who was the 1 seed, by the way, not one of these teams, didn't have Shea. And in this round, Minnesota didn't have Anthony Edwards. Well, and then they show up in the finals. I think there would be more questions than we are having right now. Right. I don't think it is. And to Brew's point, and this is where I would like to bounce this off you, if I may, the history is accurate. As far as the teams in the last 40 years, your buddy Bill Simmons pointed this out. He had left a team out, so we have the full list. Teams in the last 40 years to enter the finals with 20 or fewer losses. I think we can show it to you. There it is. So these are, we go through them. 96 Bulls, that's 72 win Bulls. 16 Warriors, they lost to LeBron, but after the 3-1 comeback. The Warriors with Durant, the Bulls, the 5th title. 86 Celtics, who we talk about as one of the greatest teams ever. Yep. The Warriors' first title team, the Lakers' 4th championship with that was their 4th championship with Kareem and Magic. The Celtics this year, the Heat the year they had the 27-game winning streak, and in my opinion, the best Bulls team ever with respect to the 96 Bulls and 92 Bulls. So that is unbelievable, right? Does anyone think the Celtics are in the same zip code as those other 9 teams on that list? Does anybody think it? Because I don't. Celtics fans can get mad at me. I do not.
No, probably not. But what if they
win it?
If they win
it, I don't think people will put them with that group unless they keep winning it. And maybe not 2 in a row, but win another one in a couple years.
But you don't think if the Celtics win, the narrative will become, wow, that team was stacked. They got Drew Holiday, their 3rd best. They were winning without Porzingis. Porzingis used to be the number 1 option. He was like, build your franchise around. Well, the Knicks. With the Knicks.
I mean,
he was the unicorn.
Before he blew out his knee, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that was like,
hope. Yeah, right.
Yeah, but now he's averaging 20 points a game. He's like, well, he's number 4 guy.
So, yeah, I think if they win the championship,
people will celebrate him like that.
And I think the narrative will be, maybe fairly, this team was hiding in plain sight all year. They had all the markers of a great team. They rolled through the playoffs, and then they beat a team. And by the way, it's what Vegas has been telling us all year is going to happen. Yeah. But
the analytics guys.
Right, but Vegas and the analytics, in my opinion, well, not my opinion, history tells us, have been oddly too high on Boston each of the last 4 years, where the analytics love them and Vegas is always, in my opinion, overvalued.
All right, Jaylen Brown had 29 points in the closeout game, won the Larry Bird Trophy, given to the MVP of the conference finals. Last time the Celtics went to the finals, Tatum won the trophy. So here's Jaylen on the unexpected honor. Official voting had Tatum with 4 votes, Jaylen with 5. Here's how their numbers lined up, Brill. Pretty close. I mean,
rebounds, assists.
Yeah, you give it to Tatum. Brown had some timely plays.
The three in the corner, I think,
Yeah,
broke the
that's
tie.
what did it.
In my
I agree.
So Tatum not winning MVP. Is it something or nothing?
It's only something if he allow. I'm not gonna give you your what you want. It's only something if Jason Tatum makes it something. If he's bothered inside, if he's upset, if he feels slighted, that's it. All right, because it could have went to Jason Tatum. Obviously, the voting was close, and I agree with Nick. I think the three-pointer, because I think Boston still was going to win the series, but had Tatum or Brown not hit that three, they lose game one. Now maybe it's at least it's certainly a longer series, and maybe a tough series that they have to play. So I have no problem with Brown winning it. Look, Tatum oddly. And I've been critical of him as well, but I think he's now being criticized too much. All right. You showed his numbers 30, 10, and 6. You know how many Celtics have done that in a conference final?
Bird?
0.
Oh, Bird never did it?
Bird did it in the first and second rounds.
Okay.
Bird's the only other Celtic ever to do it in the playoffs.
Are we even counting it against this Pacers team?
Well, yeah, we are. We are. Yeah. All right, so Jason Tatum, he put up historic numbers. And even though Brown hit the big three, who was the guy in that overtime? Tatum had 10 points in that overtime. So I think he played well. I am not the guy that sits here and counts, it really wasn't Tatum's title if he doesn't get the Finals MVP. That's ridiculous. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won 2 Finals MVPs out of 6 championships.
And also
Magic won 3 out of 5. So I hope Tatum can learn from Brown. Not even learn. Hopefully he doesn't even have to. But if he is struggling a bit, look at Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown saying, we won 64 games by 11 points a game, and we got 1 All-NBA player? So he's like doing it alone? And he has said it bothered him that he didn't make All-NBA. Mm-hmm. But yet he comes out and plays great basketball and is professional. So if inside it's bothering Jason, then that's what the example he should look at. So they go out and just try to win this thing as a team.
You want me to ask you the question?
Yeah, what's the question?
Oh, is it something or nothing, Wildes?
Something or nothing? That's something. Something good.
All right, there you go. That's what you were hoping Brew would do. Why is it something good, Wildes?
I felt like Jaylen Brown, who has a certain stoicism to it, even when accolades come his way, felt really excited and surprised. And, the narrative is Tatum's here, a little Batman and Robin-y, which, however much you want to say it's not a thing, is usually a thing between Batman and Robin on every team that's tried to make a run to the championship. Now it feels like, hey, I got my trophy. A little Batman and Batman action. I feel good about this.
It could be positive for Jaylen. That's true.
Yeah,
it could be very good.
Yep. That's why I was trying to throw it out.
And by the way, I don't think it's a narrative thing. It's reality. The reality is that over the breadth of their careers, this year included, last year included, Jason Tatum's been the better player. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think it's like an unfair thing. It's just where they are as basketball players. Now, Jaylen Brown, I do think in this series my vote would have gone to Jaylen Brown. I don't think it was demonstrative because Game 3, Tatum was extraordinary. Tatum's Game 3 was better than any individual game Jaylen Brown played, but Tatum, Game 2 was not good, and Game 4 was last night. He was okay. He wasn't that efficient. Turned the ball over. So he had some issues there. So my only real critique on Tatum this postseason is I don't know why he can't shoot threes in the playoffs the last 2 years, but as long as the last 2 years he's 31% from 3 and he's taking 8 a game. And they are not typically easy threes. Right. They are 6 dribbles between his legs into a step back. And so I think that he has been, now early in his career on those playoff runs, he had a 39% from 3 season. I think he might even had 40% in the playoffs. I'm not sure. I know he had a 39. But the last 2 seasons, 2 deep playoff runs, last year ended in Game 7 of the conference finals. This one's still going towards the finals. It's not that small of a sample. It's 31% from 3, and you feel like a guy his size and his athleticism could get easier shots or better shots and falls in love with the 3 a bit too much. But after I thought a shaky opening round of the playoffs. I thought round 2, he was very good, and round 3, he had game 3, he had, 36 and 10 with 0 turnovers. I mean, he was brilliant.
0
in game
turnovers,
3.
I love.
The 0 turnovers, huge.
Oof,
yeah.
love it. All right, now we're at a very special part of the show.
What's that?
Well, I'm going to try to convince Brew to not side with you and side with me. So here's the backstory. Celtics started this year, of course, 20-0 at home.
Yes.
And then Joker came in with Denver, and they won the game. And that further cemented my belief that no one's going to beat Denver in a 7-game series.
Yes.
Turns out I was wrong, and now, like a political candidate who has to drop out of the race, I have to throw my support behind someone else. And since you have been, even by your standards, somewhat obnoxious about your Mavs pick, and Bruce has not officially abandoned his Wolves yet.
Well, no, he did. He said it's over.
But the series not over. The series not over.
If they happen to win,
if they win too, we'll be right back.
He said it's
It'll be the
over.
Cincinnati Bengals.
We did a whole.
I know, but he's done it several times.
Oh, you're right.
He's done it several times. So, Brew, I'm just going to lay out some numerical factors on why I'm going with the Celtics. Nick, you laid out some earlier, but oddly, you have abandoned your.
What happened to the envelope? Remember last week? We had the whole envelope. We had a whole thing.
The envelope. I felt like the envelope.
You got to pay off the audience. You want me to prepare it for you while you get your numerical?
No,
wow, you do have the envelope.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But he has all the teams in there.
The Pacers are done. The Mavs. This
my
team
pick.
are yours, so we
Yeah,
can't
thanks.
both have the same.
Appreciate that.
And then you're here.
Yeah.
This is pretty much done. It kind of just leaves me, honestly, for editorial purposes, with the Celtics. So here's the thing. I like winners. I'm tired of picking losers. Highest win percentage, of course, is the Celtics at number 1, then the Thunder at 2, then, my beloved Denver Nuggets at 3, and then the Wolves. So how are they winning, bro? Remember a few weeks ago when I think I did it in football season, and it carried over. It's like S-Bob a little bit.
Yeah,
Defense wins championships.
Yeah.
You look at the best defensive teams, Wolves are number 1, Frisky Magic, Thunder, and then the Celtics. Obviously, Celtics will be the best defensive team left. Best offensive rating is Celtics at number 1. Pacers were hot. Well, they're going home, then Thunder, and then the Bucks. And finally, if you add up the best defense remaining and the best offense, of course, you get best point differential, which you noted is historically good. And I know you're saying, wow, the Wolves are on that an awful lot, and the Thunder are on that an awful lot.
Yeah.
So who the Mavs have beaten.
Yeah.
Okay, counterpoint. 1, the Wolves thought they were running a half marathon, were running a marathon. They spent all of their energy beating Denver. They thought it was more like boxing.
What's that like?
We beat Denver, we get the belt. Turns out not like boxing, actually like the NBA. Thunder, we knew you were saying all year, Thunder too young.
Yes.
Celtics
Yes.
have the most playoff experience
They do.
of any team. Josh, double check it. I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah.
It's just really Kyrie, and we're not counting Real Madrid championships when you're 14.
Sure. Yeah.
So, Brew, I'm going with the Celtics.
I see you green all over you.
Yeah, it's a little bit talk.
Nice.
Nick is going with the Mavs. Where are you leaning?
Well, look,
This is important for the show.
I have to side with one of you,
Well, yeah.
right? I think there are reasons to like the Celtics. I definitely do.
I don't know how this works.
I mean, I think that they've got the defenders on the perimeter who are great, all right? And they've got a number of them, and they got some size on them, all right? They can spread the floor with the three-point shooting to bring Dallas away from the basket. So, and, they have been a great team all year. There's something in me that is saying this might be the Celtics' year. But
There's something else.
I was the first, even though it's his Slovenian son, I was the first, I believe, to coin Luka Legend.
That part is true. I do believe that. I remember the day on
Undisputed. He was the next Larry Bird.
I remember it.
Yes. So I would love to see Luka win his first championship. And I am leaning strongly. Should they take out my Timberwolves?
Yeah,
I'm leaning strongly Dallas.
Yeah, he's sick of.
I'm leaning
being
strongly
wrong.
Dallas.
I also
Mr. picked the Lakers.
I picked the Lakers to win a series. If you find any tape of me saying the Lakers are going to win the championship, I'll give you $1,000. It doesn't exist. I picked them to beat the Nuggets, and then I said,
win it all.
No, I did not. I said that I could absolutely see the Lakers spinning the whole clip on the Nuggets and then getting beat by Luka, who I had winning the championship when I abandoned the Nuggets.
That's actually what's happening to the Wolves.
Right, exactly right. However, if I may just quickly, because Wild said something correct, which is much like in politics, when your candidate loses, you need to endorse someone else.
Yeah.
And also much like in politics, when you have spent 9 months telling us how one team is the only savior we have, how they have to win, they are guaranteed to win, how everyone else pales in comparison, and then you're like, oh, okay, one of those others I'm with, it's just going to be hard. It's going to be hard for the audience.
They were built to beat them.
It's going to be hard for the audience to take this full-throated, which is why you really need Brew's support.
Yes.
Because the audience is used to Brew jumping sides, going
jumping sides,
yeah, 100%,
mocking you.
Exactly.
Well, if I had to choose between siding with y'all, it would be you.
Exactly. That's what I want.
I think is going to win.
I want to be alone.
I've never switched picks in the middle of the finals. Like some people
Brew, who do you have winning Mavs Timberwolves?
Some people like
Brew, who do you have winning Mavs Timberwolves?
We'll see.
No, I said it's over. That's all.
That's switching picks.
It's not a switch. It's over.
That's switching picks.
It's not switching. It's just admitting reality.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.